PR Connections Radio presents
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub Recap here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and on this edition, we are going to be breaking down the most recent game that happened between your Vegas Golden Knights, and we are here at City National Arena, and as there's stuff going on with, a bunch of stuff going when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights and the New York Islanders, this was a very entertaining, very interesting game, and we're going to be breaking all of that down here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. And before we get into the content, go to PRConnectionsRadio.com, check out all the content we have on the network. We have about a dozen shows on the platform, including Vegas Hockey Hub. So go to the website and check out all of the people that are on the network. Also go to the YouTube channel and subscribe and like this video and support our platform. If you also want to go to all of our social media pages at Vegas Hockey Hub on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, we are everywhere. And follow your host at Ian J. Rachiele. Now, this matchup had a lot of good back and forths, and it was a very entertaining, really solid matchup between your Vegas Golden Knights and the team out there in Long Island at the UBS Arena. And it's going to be a very engaging conversation, a very insightful conversation. We're going to be breaking down what happened in this game out there, and really entertaining game, like we mentioned. Now, the pregame notes, it was reported that Yuri Patera, he would be sent down to the AHL, and he'll be going down to the Henderson Silver Knights. And one of the only reasons why this would be happening is because somebody would be activated from the IR and would be called up and would be in the starting lineup for your Vegas Golden Knights. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But for Yuri Patera, this is a guy who has done relatively well in his limited action playing for the Golden Knights. We all know that his last appearance was against Colorado, and that was when there was a shutout. Colorado beat us 3-0. But that wasn't necessarily his fault. The lack of offense was the main reason why they lost that game. But some people forget that he actually got hurt, and he actually was not starting. He was not playing. In fact, Isaiah Seville had to be called up for a little bit because he was not going to be on the active roster. So for Yuri Patera, this is somebody who is being sent down to Henderson now. He is going to go back to being the starting goaltender in Henderson. Jesper Beckman, he's probably now going to be sent back down to Savannah. There is some goaltenders that are now going to be moving around because of this. But I have to give credit. I have to give praise. He did okay in his action when Adin Hill was out. He did play against San Jose. He played against Tampa Bay. He played against Florida. So when it comes to him, he only had 4 starts in the NHL during this absence when he was supposed to get called up and play. And him going 1-3, not the greatest looks on the stat sheet, but when you actually watched the game and actually studied what happened, a lot of that wasn't his fault. Just the offense just did not back him up in some of those games. So Yuri Patera sent down to Henderson. And the good news about that is the fact that Adin Hill has been cleared to play. So Adin Hill, after being injured against that game in Ottawa, there was all this speculation about how long he would be out for. Of course, we all know about the news report that he was supposed to play against the Colorado Avalanche, and at the last minute it was changed. Then there was a possibility about him playing against Boston the next night. Then that got scrapped because there was a puck that hit him and just went wrong in practice. So as people who are watching the Vegas Golden Knights, it has been a while since Adin Hill has been suiting up and actually will be playing a game for your Vegas Golden Knights. In fact, it has been a solid month and a little bit over a solid month since we've seen Adin Hill be in uniform. And let's also recall that this was also 2 weeks after he originally got hurt in that game against Vancouver. So it is great to see Adin Hill back in the starting lineup, for him to be cleared and playing for your Vegas Golden Knights. But it's just unfortunate that Adin Hill has had those injury problems. He had those concerns when it comes to injuries on that end for your Vegas Golden Knights. But good news. And Yuri Patara sent down to Henderson. Aiden Hill being cleared to play. He was part of the morning skate, and he will be activated from IR and playing in net for your Vegas Golden Knights, as you see right here. And it will be interesting to see how he performed and how he played in his first game back. Is there going to be some rust? Is it going to take a while for him to get back in the rhythm? Or will Aiden Hill end up being just like he was when he first got injured, which was phenomenal? I mean, most people forget that Aiden Hill, the first month and a half of the season, was the MVP of sorts for your Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, Aiden Hill just did a really stand-up job the first part of the year. So Aiden Hill being back in net for your Vegas Golden Knights, and really interesting. And I was really looking forward, as I was here at City National Arena, to watch the game up at the Mackenzie River, pub and grill. So I will say, for your Vegas Golden Knights, this was a very entertaining game. And by the way, the food here is incredible. I'm not getting paid to do this. I just wanted to mention this very quickly. Eating at this restaurant, they have exceptional food. Just a little bit of a side note there, but if you go to City National Arena in downtown Summerlin, if you go to the restaurant that's on the second floor, I would highly recommend checking it out, being able to watch the hockey game while you're sitting down and eating some amazing food. I'm a burger guy, so obviously I had one of their burgers, and it was incredible. So absolutely good job there. Just want to give a testimonial there. There was a lineup change that also happened from the previous game. Brendan Bryson, he has been playing for the last couple of games for your Vegas Golden Knights. Well, it was reported that Brendan Bryson would be a healthy scratch in tonight's game, and Sheldon Rempel would be in his place. So Sheldon Rempel, who had his first start for the Golden Knights a couple of games ago, he would actually be a healthy scratch for a couple of games. So they have essentially swapped places. So Sheldon Rempel, he is in. Brendan Bryson is out. So that would be the one solid lineup change on the bottom six. Now the rest of the lineup looks the same on that end. So the lineups are mostly the same. You have Ivan Barbashev, Jonathan Marchessault, Nick Waugh on that line one. On line two, you have Pavel Dorofeev, Chandler Stevenson, and your captain on line two. On line three, you do have the situation with Paul Cotter, Brett Howden, and Sheldon Rempel. And then on line four, you have Byron Frazee, Keegan Kolazar, and Giannis Roundbeard. So that would be the forward line for the Vegas Golden Knights. On the defensive side, it's kind of been the same usual over the last couple of games now. You have Pietrangelo and Martinez, McNabb and Korzak, Haig and Whitecloud, and then Aiden Hill in net for your Vegas Golden Knights in this game tonight. So really solid lineups. And yes, obviously we all know about the situation with Jack Eichel. When is he going to come back? Him having that surgery. When will he be back? William Karlsson being out on the offensive side. That's a little bit of a blow as well. William Carrier not being on the bottom six for Vegas. So injuries have kind of stockpiled for Vegas at this point. Now, getting into the game itself, a very exciting and entertaining game between the Vegas Golden Knights and the New York Islanders. And this was a very interesting game indeed. And the main reason why I do mention this, and the reason why we have to talk about this, is that when it comes to the Golden Knights and the New York Islanders game, we're about halfway into the first period, Ivan Barbashev with his 12th goal of the season, assisted by Alex Pietrangelo. So for your Vegas Golden Knights, that was an interesting situation there. The fact that your Vegas Golden Knights would kick off the game and do it in the right way by getting a goal for Ivan Barbashev. So very solid. I mean, he's at the dozen mark right now in terms of goals for Ivan Barbashev. And considering what his momentum was to begin the season, the fact that he, right now, for your Vegas Golden Knights, he has been a solid contributor on the top six and really as a top line forward for your Vegas Golden Knights. So Ivan Barbashev, 12th goal of the season, assisted by Alex Petrangelo. And I do have to give credit to Alex Petrangelo because it was a tip. So Alex Petrangelo, he shot the puck. Ivan Barbashev, there was a tip in there. So it made it a 1-0 game for your Vegas Golden Knights to begin the first period. And Alex Petrangelo had a really productive first period for the Golden Knights. Indeed, he did. I mean, this was a Vegas Golden Knights team that this first period, he was blocking shots. He was getting in front of the puck. He was shooting it around. He was getting it to the right read. I mean, Alex Petrangelo did a stellar job in this game tonight. In fact, he was one of the best players that the Golden Knights had in this game. So when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, that first period going up 1-0 as you get towards the end of the first period, solid job by them. And for Vegas, this is just a situation where when you study it and when you actually break down what they're doing, you know, this is a Vegas Golden Knights team that when they get hot in the first period, you have to watch out for the second period because this is a team that it feels like the energy and the hustle, it's not a full 60 minutes. In fact, this has actually been one of the main complaints that Vegas has had over the last couple of years is that if they have a great start to the game, they start to kind of wind down towards the middle of it. And then they pick right back up towards the end of the game and find a way to win. Now, getting into the second period in this game for the Vegas Golden Knights and New York Islanders game, the Vegas Golden Knights would not remain up in the lead for very long. As about 4 minutes into the second period, Brock Nelson with his 21st goal of the season, assisted by Alexander Romanov and Noah Dobson to be a 1-1 game for the New York Islanders. I mean, Brock Nelson, the longtime New York Islander, this is someone who they trust to be there every single night. And as someone who's played around 1,000 games in the NHL, that's obviously an accomplishment doing it with the same team. So Vegas Golden Knights being tied at 1, that is just a situation where early to begin the game, the Vegas Golden Knights, they were just trying to kind of capitalize on the situation there. And that's just what it seemed to look like. So for the Vegas Golden Knights being tied at 1 after the Brock Nelson goal for the New York Islanders, they would tie it up at 1 in this game. And if you don't know, we are currently doing our New York Islanders Vegas Golden Knights recap show here on Vegas Hockey Hub here on PR Connections Radio. And the Vegas Golden Knights would actually get an opportunity in this game as about a few minutes later, Scott Mayfield would have an interference penalty against Ivan Barbashev. So the Vegas Golden Knights would be on the power play against the New York Islanders, and they would execute perfectly. As about half a minute into the power play, Sheldon Rempel with his first goal of the season after being swapped out for Brendan Bryson, him being put in the lineup on that third line alongside Paul Cotter and Brett Howden. So Sheldon Rempel, really solid job there. I like what I saw from him on the power play. Good assist by Alex Petrangelo and Nick Waugh. So when it comes to this game, I really look at it and say, you know, this is a New York Islanders team that just really, unfortunately, Sheldon Rempel just did what he had to do. So Sheldon Rempel on the power play to make it a 2-1 game. And, you know, the Vegas Golden Knights really were taking control here. And they really did what they needed to do in this game. And I like what I saw from them. And, you know, the second period went pretty well for the Vegas Golden Knights. And it would continue in a few minutes later. As the Vegas Golden Knights, after being up by 1, they would end up getting an extra goal and getting their third and final goal of the game as Nick Waugh would score halfway into the second period to make it a 3-1 game. This would be assisted by Ivan Barbashev and Jonathan Marchessault. So once again, that first line is doing relatively well, and Nick Waugh is kind of doing an audition of sorts to show that he is better than just a fourth-line center for your Vegas Golden Knights. So yeah, Nick Waugh, 9th goal of the season. Have to give a lot of props to Ivan Barbashev and Jonathan Marchessault for what they are doing on the first line. And this has been kind of a stellar game for Vegas. This has actually been one of the best games that the Vegas Golden Knights have done from start to finish. And as we got towards the end of the second period, the Vegas Golden Knights would be up 3-1 And the energy in the room, the energy here at City National Arena, it was a feeling that the Vegas Golden Knights are in control. Everyone was kind of cheering, and everyone was happy to see the Vegas Golden Knights up by 2 in this game. And the Vegas Golden Knights, this is just a situation where you see Vegas after the second period, and as long as they kept their composure, as long as the Vegas Golden Knights did not make any sloppy mistakes, as long as their discipline was where it needed to be, this could be a very good game for Vegas, and this could actually end up being a solid punch, a solid win for your Vegas Golden Knights. But they would have to do a lot in the third period to execute and get that done, This is going to be a Vegas Golden Knights team that you really have to sit there and ask yourself, can they, for the last period of the game, for the third period, can they have 20 minutes of just solid contribution for the Vegas Golden Knights? Is it possible for them to find a way to hold on and pick up the victory for the Vegas Golden Knights against the New York Islanders? And we would find out that it would not be easy for Vegas, as to start out the third period, there would be penalties on top of penalties on top of penalties for the Vegas Golden Knights. As not even 1 minute into the game, your captain would get a tripping penalty against Sebastian Aho, and then Jonathan Marchessault would get a holding penalty against Kyle Palmieri. So the Vegas Golden Knights would get back-to-back penalties within the first 4 minutes of the game. And this would end up actually causing a good situation for Vegas, as for the third time in this game, the Vegas Golden Knights would get a penalty, and they would kill off the penalty. So the Vegas Golden Knights penalty kill went 3-for-3 in this game. So just incredible job by Vegas to be on the penalty kill, to kill off these penalties when it mattered. And it was a situation where the Vegas Golden Knights were cool, they were calm under pressure, and they had trust in their goaltender. We'll talk about Adin Hill at the end of the show. But what a stand-up job in net the Vegas Golden Knights had tonight. And a very interesting situation in this game happened, as Matt Martin, the fourth-line enforcer, the guy who's only there to cause problems, he would get a holding penalty against the Vegas Golden Knights. So your Golden Knights would be on the power play. And there was a goal. Indeed, there was a goal. It was just not for Vegas. As with a shorthanded situation, a 5-on-4 opportunity, the New York Islanders would score, as Jean-Gabriel Pageau would have his 6th goal of the season, assisted by Adam Pelech and Simon Holmstrom. So it would be a 3-2 game for the Vegas Golden Knights. They still be up by 1, but just an interesting situation there that you had a shorthanded goal by the New York Islanders. So while Vegas was on the power play, was trying to get a puck into their net, New York Islanders would find a way to get a puck into Vegas's net. And, the rest of the game here would kind of just be neutral, as the only 2 moments that happened in this game in the third period, Ivan Barbashev would get a holding penalty with about halfway into the third period, and then about 5 minutes left in the game, Matthew Barzal would have a tripping penalty against Nick Hague, so the Vegas Golden Knights would be on the power play. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights going 1-for-3 on the power play, 3-for-3 on the penalty kill. So overall, the Vegas Golden Knights special teams, they did what they needed to do. And more importantly, the Vegas Golden Knights have to give a lot of credit, and definitely owed a meal, to Adin Hill for his return. Adin Hill stopped 40 of 42 shots on net tonight. So to really make a statement and really see that if he could withhold after coming back from injury, Adin Hill did a fantastic job in net tonight for your Vegas Golden Knights. And the fact that they made 40 saves in his return, just a stand-up job by Adin Hill. There was multiple saves in this game where the people at the City National Arena were clapping and cheering as he was making those saves. So what a stand-up job by Adin Hill in this game. The Vegas Golden Knights would pick up the win. they would eventually hold out and get the victory here at the UBS Arena in Long Island. And your Vegas Golden Knights are getting an additional 2 points now, and it does matter. These 2 points matter so much, especially where we are at in this season, where we at the point where your Vegas Golden Knights, you're looking at the playoff standings, right? I know so many people don't want to acknowledge it. I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but we are going to talk about it here on Vegas Hockey Hub. The Pacific Division is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Vancouver has been one of the best teams all year. Edmonton has gotten red hot, and we'll mention them later on because there's actually a segment we have to talk about. And the LA Kings have been holding steady. LA Kings over the past 2 months, they win 6 out of 10. Or they win 5 out of 10, but they have 2 overtime losses. Like, the LA Kings have been consistent at getting points. So you have a consistent team in points in the LA Kings. You have a red-hot Edmonton Oilers team. Then you have a Vancouver Canucks organization that has been one of the best in hockey. And your Vegas Golden Knights, there's really nothing negative to say about this. Your Vegas Golden Knights over the last 8 games, and this is crazy to think about. Your Vegas Golden Knights have won 6 of their last 9 games. They have won 5 of their last 7. So for your Vegas Golden Knights, this is just an incredible situation where your Vegas Golden Knights have scored points in 5 straight games. They have won 5 of their last 7. They have been getting points in 7 of their last 9 games. So your Vegas Golden Knights have been building up momentum. They're picking up what they need to do. And to get a win here tonight, that is a statement victory and something that the Vegas Golden Knights can happily say has gone right for Vegas. The player of the game, and this is what we do for every single game here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. Player of the game will go to Ivan Barbashev for his performance tonight, getting the first goal of the game in the first period, and then getting a good assist and a solid setup to Nick Waugh on the final goal of the game for the Vegas Golden Knights. So Ivan Barbashev does deserve that. Sheldon Rempel with his first goal of the season. I have to acknowledge him on it. And Alex Pietrangelo with a 2-point performance. Nick Waugh, a 2-point performance. Jonathan Marchessault has had multiple games now where he has scored a point. So I have to also give credit to Jonathan Marchessault. Over the past 10 games, he has been scoring points. He's been scoring goals for your Vegas Golden Knights. But if we had to go with one player of the game, Ivan Barbashev is who it belongs to. And Ivan Barbashev, 12 goals and 14 assists on the season. Now, he is not going to stand out on the stat sheet. You're looking at Jonathan Marchessault. You're looking at Jack Eichel. You're looking at all these other players on the stat sheet. But Ivan Barbashev, 26 points on the season so far in 48 games. So Ivan Barbashev, have to give respect there. He has done a stellar job on the first line after those struggles in the first month of coming back from the season. And Ivan Barbashev, have to give praise there. And what a nice game by the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, this was a strong performance by the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, some people might say it's American strong because we're out here in Vegas, here in the United States of America. But overall, a very strong performance by the Vegas Golden Knights indeed. I mean, Aiden Hill did a stellar job in net. The defense did what they needed to do all night long, and that was getting in front of the net and helping out Aiden Hill in his first game back. You also had a few players who were just putting up stellar performances in this game. Ivan Barbashev, of course, 4 shots on net, a 2-point performance there. But Jonathan Marchessault, he had 3 shots on net. You also had a situation where when it came to the penalties, this was a Golden Knights organization that only had 3 penalties in this game. So the discipline was here. So this was definitely a moment for the Vegas Golden Knights. Only 3 penalties. The discipline was doing solid by Bruce Cassidy. Time on ice was also interesting Because if you study the time on ice, Alex Pietrangelo spent 24 minutes on ice for Vegas. He had more ice time than anybody else the Vegas Golden Knights had. So giving credit to Vegas and really acknowledging what Vegas did in this game. This is a moment where Vegas Golden Knights had a very stellar game, and it was a game that you can look back towards the middle or towards the end of the season and say, hey, the Vegas Golden Knights accomplished and achieved what they had to do to pick up 2 points and keep moving forward in the season. And here is the win-loss record for your Vegas Golden Knights. They just keep racking up wins. They keep trying to compete in the Pacific Division, and it is what you are trying to see at this moment in time for your Vegas Golden Knights. If you're a Golden Knights fan, if you're someone who's supporting the Golden Knights, win-loss record does matter, but racking up points is what matters the most. And the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights have scored 34 points in 48 games, that is a stellar statistic there. And if you can score points by the end of the season, if you can score points in 55, 60, if you're great enough, 65 points by the end of the season, that means that you are going to be a playoff team. If you're an organization that, let's just say, I'm just spitballing here, by the end of the season, you have, 45 wins, but you have 5 overtime losses, or if you have 45 wins, but you have 10 overtime losses, then that means that you have racked up 100 points by the end of the year. And if you're Vegas and you get 46 wins, but you have 8 overtime losses, then that means that you've racked up about 100 points. And as someone who's a hockey fan, as someone who has been watching hockey for a long time, it's not necessary. It's not required. But to get to 100 points by the end of the year, that means that you are going to be guaranteed a playoff spot. If you get to 90 points, that's fine. If you get to 90 points, there's always a possibility of getting in the playoffs. We saw last year with Florida that if you get around 90 points, you can squeeze in as a wild card team. But if you get to 100 wins on the year, then that means that you had at least 50 games on the year that you registered a point. So overall, for your Vegas Golden Knights, this has been a strong start to the season. I like what we saw from them, and this is a good momentum starter moving forward. 2 final notes we're going to mention on the game before we leave City National Arena and we end the Vegas Hockey Hub recap show. This is a season sweep for the Vegas Golden Knights. When they took on the New York Islanders early on in January, they beat the New York Islanders 5-2 at T-Mobile Arena. So to go to UBS Arena, to take on the New York Islanders, and to sweep the New York Islanders, and that is a good moment there for the Vegas Golden Knights. New York Islanders, not so much. New York Islanders are 20, 16, and 11 right now. Yeah, that's not a good situation for the New York Islanders. They have had a real up and down situation, not the greatest season for New York. So, New York Islanders definitely need to work on that. There's some stuff that really needs to be addressed in the locker room for New York to be a playoff team. But good news for Vegas, a series sweep out there for the Long Island. And since we have about a minute left, I do want to address this. The Edmonton Oilers, 14 games in a row. And if the Edmonton Oilers, and this is insane to think about, and I hope it doesn't happen, but it's a possibility. The Edmonton Oilers have 4 games left. And, if they have to get to 18 wins, that would be a record. That would be a record for X amount of games won in a row. So hopefully it doesn't happen, and hopefully Vegas, by the time they're not taking on Edmonton in a couple of days, they do not have to face them when there's a record being dealt with. But such a interesting moment there, the fact the Edmonton Oilers have won that many games in a row. So they really went from being dead and one of the worst teams in the Western Conference to now being one of the best teams in the Western Conference out there in Edmonton. So once again, congratulations to the Vegas Golden Knights on picking up the victory. And until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Continue watching hockey, go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.